heard they checking for me, no one checking on me, so I had to go run up a check. I got the message on me, ain't no flexing on me, my attorney gon' call and collect. Blessings on blessings for me, my successes only made them envious, they got upset. I had to put all their egos in check. I want the money, the power, respect, and I heard you know someone.
Oh damn, now I spilled all my coffee.
Yes, I know, that was a bit silly. But hey, I wanted to try my hand at filmmaking, give a little Hollywood a go. And why now? Yes, of course, it keeps running through my mind when I think about the brand Cadillac we're discussing today. Cadillac, I mainly know it from films, personally, so my own encounter, I think, was with Matrix Reloaded. As a teenager, I was at the cinema and there was this intense highway scene and there were these Cadillacs involved. But many musicians also love Cadillacs. There are so many songs. Honestly, I didn't know about Cadillacs at all, but many of you probably still remember this. Vivid pink Cadillac of Elvis Presley in mind, so that's why it's really something special. And that's why today there are two premieres, as the filmmakers say. For the very first time in my entire life, I am currently driving a Cadillac car. I have never ever experienced or attempted this before myself. And the second point to note is, this right here is the very first all-electric vehicle Cadillac has made. This model is called the LYRIQ. The Cadillac LYRIQ achieves 330 miles on a full charge according to WLTP. I generally recommend subtracting 20% from the WLTP figure, then you'll get a more realistic average. AC charging is provided as standard at up to 22 kW, which is indeed really great. DC fast charging at up to an impressive 190 kW is truly solid and reliable, allowing you to go from 10 to 80% in just about 35 minutes efficiently. The price, at 8,500 euros, is also at a luxury level, but that does include a nice set of features for which you'd pay a hefty premium with competitors. You've just seen the design of the vehicle. Everyone can form their own opinion on that. I wouldn't go into detail right now. But one thing I must say again, and indeed, it is truly quite a distinctive, strong, and remarkably impressive vehicle, boasting an array of features that set it apart. We have noticed that as well. We've been all around Nice to test out the car, at least for a day and a half, and already many people are turning around to look. Let us be completely honest here. Yes, the sales of Cadillac vehicles certainly do not reach the millions figure in Europe. This is indeed a unique, exotic brand, meaning that for those who value having something special, not a car everyone owns, and for those who want to make a statement when they arrive somewhere, that I make an impression. That, I believe, serves well here for those to whom it matters. Here, by the way, you can also see the name written out again, LYRIQ. Yes, that obviously represents the idea of these artists, the musicians, yes, very lyrical. So sure, obviously fully electric, that's a must, of course, and it's quite impressively large. And practically speaking, for everyone who might, well, let's put it this way, need to stash diamonds, they've got this nice secondary floor here. So all the cables are now installed. That's kind of boring, right? But when Tony Montana, for instance, requires to stash someone away in the trunk once again, then of course, my friends, we'll willingly give it another shot just to see if it effectively works this time. Yes, indeed, an adult can fit in there quite comfortably, really nicely. And if you perhaps decide to press here once again, there's actually even some room for more. Well, let's leave that aside, shall we? Obviously, every electric car really needs some sort of fancy way for the door handle to open. Right here, just like this. But it's actually handy. But what I really like about this, and I have to show you, is that they've truly used high-quality materials already. Here's, for example, a wooden element, and here, it seems the ambient lighting shines through these perforations. You have seat ventilation, seat heating, separately adjustable for both upper and lower parts. You even get a full massage. But what I like the most is that in times when everything is just electric and operated with buttons, there's this real homage to that old lever from the Cadillacs here that you pull on to open the door. That feels really, really good too. And we'll delve into the AKG sound system in just a moment. GM itself says they are focusing on bringing all the modern features into electric vehicles now, with large screens, touch controls and whatnot. But under no circumstances did they want all of the small buttons to simply fall off, because they were really eager to retain just a bit of the brand's very rich and storied history and somehow find a way to bring it all back to life in the context of a modern state-of-the-art electric vehicle. And so there are still a few buttons left, not as many as before, but things like this here, for instance. Obviously, it epitomizes that there's still such a tactile feel here. Here you can adjust the air vents yourself without using a touch screen or anything like that. Close it right here, just open it up, and it really truly feels quite good. Well, as previously mentioned, that's simply a matter of personal taste. There's an absolutely massive storage room located right down here, which manages to accommodate quite a lot, but of course everything inevitably starts to go flying around when you suddenly accelerate. And right here in the very front, we have a modern USB-C port. You can, for example, I personally tested this out myself. If you happen to be an Apple user and not strictly just an Android fan, effortlessly connect the CarPlay. That's integrated too. Currently only via cable. And then here's the center console. So, and the center console there, you can first open up this large, medium-sized compartment. Yes, but there's another USB-C port. That's already good. Here's another USB-C port as well. And this is where you practically plug in the smartphone right there. Is perfectly placed there, so it absolutely can't fly around. And you can also charge this device wirelessly, which is quite convenient. For those individuals who don't want to mess around with or get frustrated by the touch controls and all of that hassle, you have the simple option of just using the rotary knob here on the side. And then the menus up front will be selected accordingly. You can press on it, choose something, etc. So this is an additional option again. Then there are also a few options here to quickly access important features like navigation, music, and so on. Here's yet another volume control feature, which some might miss when it's solely on the touchscreen, to have this pleasant tactile sensation. So here are two more cup holders. It's not a sensation as one would expect. And honestly, what I really did not quite like was sort of the entire, overall build quality aspect of it. That is, from my point of view, it doesn't fit. So it creaks a bit, it wobbles slightly, doesn't really match with such a, the overall impression of the car and Cadillac's ambition to create a truly luxurious, high-end brand. Honestly, I expressed the same sentiment to the vehicle's developers. They're actually addressed here at the event, clear and loud. I said, sorry, but I don't think that's good. It doesn't work for me. And then they stated, yes, indeed, we also dislike it. That initially pleased me a lot. So this wasn't sugar-coated in any way, they said, and I can only pass this on. It's because these are the first vehicles from production that we're testing here, and that it's not, so it should end up with the customer later, with this processing. I can't check it right now, but I urgently wanted to pass that on to you. Let's move to a point that's really important to me, because electric cars have actually come a long way and are pretty good, but when it comes to the software and the infotainment system, I'm often not so happy. Some manufacturers, or many manufacturers, face major challenges, can't really keep up, and then the system takes forever, or there are many features missing. So, not ideal, and I appreciate when a brand like Cadillac comes around and says, hey, we might not have the top software team ourselves, and we admit that. I believe that's a solid beginning for starters, and we're actually utilizing the software of one of the world's very largest IT and software companies, notably Google. The Google Automotive System is the foundation for the entire system here in the Cadillac LYRIQ, and that was exactly the right decision, because the system looks great. It has way more features than if the GM handled it themselves. And for instance, you also have Google Maps. I mean, everyone knows Google Maps, no need to go into detail there. We're now in the process of carefully planning the travel route from Nice to Berlin at this very moment. And that's precisely 8 on 60 miles, you see. And that's exactly when what I fully expect from every single electric vehicle happens. That proper planning for charging is carried out, and indeed Google is capable of it. And by now, really well. Let's go over the route details, and you'll see right here I start off. So now I'm at the Ionity, charging for 52 minutes. At Fastnet, it's 43 minutes. Then, here at the RAL Pulse, once again here, and then I find myself in Berlin. And I know exactly with what percentage, how long I need to charge, and with what percentage I'll arrive. That's exactly what I expect from each electric vehicle. However, if you happen to be an Apple user, you still get access to Apple CarPlay here. And yes, it's a bit of a compromise on the display, but still, Apple CarPlay is included. Of course, I have the Google Assistant, the Google Play Store. It's not the Play Store like on the smartphone with all the apps. But hey, I've got all kinds of social, weather, navigation apps, music apps, even charging planning apps here, in case I want to use something else. Radio stations, sound libraries, there's quite a bit included in this, and now let me show you everything. Here's the full thing. Yes, the whole menu and the whole system looks sleek. And here, for instance, I just installed my extra apps additionally. So, this is pretty cool with everything integrated. It should be mentioned, it could really use a bit of tweaking when it comes to performance power. I hope for more software updates, then it'll improve a bit. So, it's slightly jittery, but overall, I'm pleased with the decision that GM opted for Google here. There's a touchscreen on the left side, specifically designed to allow users to easily change and customize the bike's display settings according to their preferences. So it's either a gauge for instruments or for energy. Here, however, you can also, which is quite nice, Open up a 3D map to see the navigation right in front of you, the assistance systems, and even a minimalist mode. The steering wheel feels premium. There are indeed 4 real buttons here as well. They're really quite cool too, you know? No touch or anything of that sort, but here, right here, I've got these very sophisticated capacitive touch buttons again. When I press that in, I also get like a bit of a vibration. So I've been getting this feedback. Something seems to be pushed too hard, but I think some folks really aren't too thrilled about it. Otherwise, yes, the steering wheel feels nice, but now, of course, we face an issue with the steering wheels and this enormous screen. Now, you see it a bit from my perspective. Depending on how you're seated and the seating position or how you've adjusted the steering wheel, which of course can be done electrically, this steering wheel's curvature just obscures, like this area or this one over here. That precisely in this area, the most important information isn't found. So here we have, for instance, music information, or here, the temperature. The important things, such as speed and assistance systems, are already strategically placed in that area. Well, it seems that's just how things go sometimes. The downside of having a continuous screen, indeed. So sitting in the back seat, you do feel quite presidential, I must say. Beautiful, wide panoramic glass, roof comfortably overhead, plenty of ample space for the feet and the ego as well. And of course, obviously, the center console in this vehicle features another convenient cup holder for additional comfort. And right here at the very front, I am also able to adjust my own temperature settings with ease using these dedicated buttons provided for us. Here again, the blower with these tactile buttons. Then, right down here, I actually have 2 more USB-Cs, and now, here comes the kicker. I always find this cool. This is indeed the Swiss version with the Swiss plug, but the German version will actually come with a full-fledged socket with 3.7 kDalr. So I can easily connect all sorts of devices there. My own coffee machine in the back, or really everyone else can come up with something themselves too. So it does feel really good. I can also adjust the seats a bit in terms of angle. 2 ISOFIX on the left and right, as you'd realistically expect. And overall, it's kind of like you really have to ask yourself, do you want to drive or would you rather be driven? Key check here, is the car truly capable, after a daring bank heist, as everyone knows it, to really shine during a thrilling car chase getaway? Well, there's plenty of room for all those gold bars, and you've got to admit, going from 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds, that should be enough to outpace most car chases, shouldn't it? The single pedal driving in this vehicle is actually quite good because the strength of the recuperation is quite significant. I mean, it's so strong, like I've hardly experienced in any vehicle, but you can adjust it yourself. So, you're saying you can do everything with just 1 foot. That's a neat power pedal when you press down. It's like the electric motor brakes, sending energy back to the battery. That's obviously fantastic for the overall range. And if you now say you don't want it that high, you can also set it to a standard such as that. And then I've got this quite particular lever on the steering wheel, and when I decide to pull it, just like that, bam, it immediately sets the vehicle into the highest level of maximum regeneration. I can balance everything very nicely. Suitable for the dream factory that is known as Hollywood, the driving experience of this particular vehicle is indeed like you're smoothly and effortlessly gliding on very fluffy, soft clouds. It's truly crazy indeed, but I believe many of you who have ever been on the road with large American vehicles might just get a little bit more of a sense of what this entire thing is truly all about. So, the whole suspension and everything, in my opinion, is really set up comfortably. And often with some vehicles, there's a risk if you make it too soft that it becomes somewhat spongy. Now here comes a really nice big old speed bump on our road. Boom, haha, yeehaw. And that's really nice. So it's not too soft to the point where it's spongy and you kind of just slide out in the curves. But it's not too harsh either. It's hard to describe. You really have to experience it yourself. I guess riding on clouds like in Hollywood's Dream Factory hits the nail on the head. Musicians indeed really love Cadillac, and of course they want to listen to their freshly produced music in the very highest quality in their car. And I must say, with the AKG system here in the LYRIQ, it's already working quite well.
I'm at the tippy top of my game, looking down at the rafters. I had to son these boys, can't leave them bastards. A lot of dudes, just some undercover actors. I don't fall for it, I'm privy to all your tactics.
In a truly great comedy, hilarious knee slappers must of course never be missed. By the way, Robin TV always offers that for free. If you don't want to miss it, feel free to subscribe. Here's the thing, the thigh slapper is actually built right into the seat itself, which is quite unusual. It's really a bit awkward at first, to be honest. By now, I actually think it's pretty cool, and you probably know this when you get too close to those road lines, like when you're not paying attention and you drift a bit too far into the other lane. Steering wheels often vibrate, you know, like, bro, then, okay, let's drive smoother. Or sometimes the vehicles themselves pull the assistance systems back into lane. With this car, it's such that practically if you get too close to the lane marking on the left, then the left side truly vibrates actually. My thigh really vibrates, so the whole seat vibrates. And if I happen to get too close to the line on the right side, then my right thigh vibrates really quite noticeably. Left and right thigh alerts are triggered. If I get too near the front, then in that case, it's the seat's very front that's involved. So we are actually feeling some very good vibrations over here, like when the Beach Boys visited. Another music festival is raging on, or it's just construction noise everywhere, and you're thinking, now for some peace. And you're in the right place for that, because in this vehicle, there actually is an active noise cancellation. That is something we've already learned from wearing headphones. I think it's absolutely brilliant when I'm on the train, for instance, to just enjoy a bit of quiet. And you have to imagine everything here gets dimmed down and you really have this beautiful, peaceful quietness. I mean, electric cars are already quite quiet, you know? But this one, it just takes it to a whole new level. It's crucial and positive, too, that he's not completely isolating everything, because it would be quite weird if you couldn't hear anything at all and were totally out of the loop. But here we are in Nice, and I must say the city was quite bustling already. And yes, indeed, it turns out it was very nice and quite quiet, but just a little friendly tip for Cadillac moving forward. I've got this cool feature idea, you know, so when you guys are planning on adding if you find yourself stuck with a particularly chatty fellow passenger and you're craving some peace, perhaps even a form of voice cancellation. And who is the car suitable for now? That's not so easy to answer, but it is. I mean, this American way of life and this driving style, and anyone who's into American cars will of course find their happiness here in a way. It's simply something a bit different. Of course, it has to be to your taste, but there are indeed many who are into it. So if you're up for something unique, if you want people to turn heads, to take a second look, or to go, wow, who's that rolling up? President or Special Agent XY attempting to channel a bit of James Bond's essence could possibly be well suited for a sophisticated car. Otherwise, drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again real soon. Bye.